What happens when a Wall Street millionaire walks into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom and says, "Hurry up, old man. My time is worth more than your entire career"? This arrogant investor thought his $50 million deal was more important than the law. But when Judge Caprio discovered what this man had been doing to elderly retirees, what happened next became the most savage courtroom takedown in internet history. The defendant actually told Judge Caprio to retire. The entire courtroom gasped. But what nobody knew was that Judge Caprio had documents in his hand that would destroy this man's entire empire in the next 10 minutes. Before we dive into this absolutely explosive story, less than 5% of you watching are actually subscribed. If you believe arrogance should meet consequences, if you believe our elders deserve respect, and if you believe wealth should never be a shield from justice, smash that subscribe button right now. This video is about to go everywhere, and you don't want to miss what happens when Judge Caprio delivers the most devastating reality check of his entire career. It's a Tuesday morning in Providence Municipal Court, 9:45 a.m., and Judge Frank Caprio is reviewing what appears to be a routine traffic violation. The case file reads simple enough on the surface. Marcus Thornhill, age 42, cited for excessive speed in a school zone. But there's a note from the arresting officer that catches Judge Caprio's attention. Defendant was hostile, refused to exit vehicle, stated officer was wasting his time, and that he doesn't answer to local police. Judge Caprio has seen thousands of cases in his 38 years on the bench, and he knows that when someone shows contempt before even reaching the courtroom, the hearing is going to be interesting. The courtroom is moderately full this morning. About 40 people waiting for their own cases, court staff preparing documents, and a few regular court watchers who follow Judge Caprio's hearings because they've seen his legendary compassion go viral online. At exactly 9:50 a.m., the bailiff calls the case. The state of Rhode Island versus Marcus Alexander Thornhill, charged with reckless driving and excessive speed in a designated school zone. Through the courtroom doors walks Marcus Thornhill, and everything about him screams wealth and arrogance. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than most people's monthly rent, a Patek Philippe watch that catches the light with every movement, Italian leather shoes polished to a mirror shine. But it's not the expensive clothes that fill the room with tension. It's his attitude. Marcus walks in with his phone pressed to his ear, mid-conversation, not even acknowledging the courtroom or the judge. His voice carries across the room as he talks to whoever is on the other line. "No, tell them we're not budging on the valuation. If they want in on this deal, they pay our price. I don't care if they think it's aggressive." Judge Caprio looks up from his paperwork, his expression already showing the first signs of concern. The bailiff approaches Marcus and says quietly, "Sir, you need to end your call. We're in session." Marcus holds up one finger in a wait gesture, not even looking at the bailiff, and continues his conversation. "Listen, I'm dealing with something ridiculous right now. Some local traffic thing. I'll call you back in 5 minutes. This won't take long." He ends the call and slides the phone into his pocket, but immediately pulls it back out to check something on the screen. He still hasn't looked at Judge Caprio. He hasn't acknowledged the court. He's treating this entire proceeding like an annoying interruption to his important day. "Mr. Thornhill," Judge Caprio begins, his voice carrying that characteristic warmth, but with an edge of firmness. "Please approach the bench and give me your full attention." Marcus finally looks up, and the way he looks at Judge Caprio, there's no respect there. There's impatience, dismissiveness, like he's looking at an obstacle rather than a person. He walks forward slowly, still glancing at his phone screen every few seconds. "Mr. Thornhill," Judge Caprio tries again, his patience already being tested. "I need you to put your phone away completely. We are in court." Marcus sighs, an exaggerated sound of frustration, and slides the phone into his jacket pocket. "Your Honor, can we make this quick? I have an extremely important meeting in less than an hour, and I really don't have time for this." The courtroom goes quiet. People exchange glances. Did he just tell a judge he doesn't have time? Judge Caprio sets down his pen carefully. "Mr. Thornhill, you are charged with driving 85 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour school zone. The time was 3:20 p.m., which is dismissal time. According to the officer's report, you came within feet of colliding with a school bus. Do you understand the severity of this charge? Marcus's response is stunning in its arrogance. Your Honor, with respect, I'm a professional driver. I've been driving for 25 years without a single accident. I had complete control of my vehicle. The speed limit in that zone is absurd. It artificially creates traffic and wastes everyone's time. I was perfectly safe. A woman in the gallery shakes her head in disbelief. A man in a work uniform crosses his arms, his expression hardening. Judge Caprio leans forward slightly. Mr. Thornhill, the speed limit exists to protect children. This isn't about your driving skills. This is about public safety. Marcus actually laughs, a short, dismissive sound. Your Honor, I appreciate what you do here, but I operate in a world where seconds matter. I was on my way to close a deal worth $50 million. That school zone added 10 minutes to my commute. In my world, that's unacceptable. Judge Caprio's expression changes. The warmth is disappearing, replaced by something colder. In my world, Mr. Thornhill, children's lives matter more than your commute. Marcus's phone buzzes in his pocket. Without thinking, he pulls it out and glances at the screen. The bailiff takes a step forward, but Judge Caprio raises his hand to stop him. He wants to see just how far this man's disrespect will go. Mr. Thornhill, Judge Caprio's voice is quiet now, but there's steel in it. Put the phone away, or I will hold you in contempt of court. Marcus looks up, and there's genuine surprise on his face, like he can't believe anyone would threaten him with consequences. Your Honor, this is a text about a deal that affects hundreds of jobs. Surely you can understand that some things are more important than a simple traffic ticket. Before Judge Caprio can respond, Marcus's phone actually rings. And Marcus, in a moment of staggering arrogance, looks at the caller ID and then looks at Judge Caprio. I need to take this. It's my senior partner. Judge Caprio's voice drops to a level of quiet authority that makes everyone in the courtroom sit up straighter. Mr. Thornhill, if you answer that phone, you will be spending the rest of the day in a cell for contempt of court. Put it away. Now. Marcus stares at Judge Caprio for a long moment, and you can see the war happening behind his eyes. His hand actually moves toward the answer button, but then he sees something in Judge Caprio's expression that finally registers. This isn't a negotiation. He declines the call and puts the phone away, but his face shows pure resentment. Thank you, Judge Caprio says, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Now let's review the specifics of your violation. Officer Rodriguez's report indicates that when he pulled you over, you refused to exit your vehicle. You told him, and I'm reading directly from his report, I don't have time for this. Write the ticket and let me go. Do you have any idea who I am? Marcus shifts uncomfortably. I may have been frustrated. I was under significant time pressure. Judge Caprio continues reading. You also told Officer Rodriguez that you pay more in taxes in 1 year than he makes in 5, and that he should be grateful people like you fund his salary. The courtroom erupts in quiet gasps and whispers. A veteran in the third row stands up, his face red with anger, before his wife pulls him back down. Marcus tries to backtrack. Your Honor, I was having an extremely stressful day. I didn't mean to be disrespectful to the officer. I was simply trying to communicate the urgency of my situation. And here's where Marcus makes his catastrophic mistake. The moment that will define this entire hearing and ultimately go viral with millions of views. Judge Caprio is about to respond when Marcus's impatience boils over. He looks at his watch, an exaggerated gesture everyone notices, and then he says it, the words that will haunt him forever. Your Honor, look, I appreciate that you have a job to do here, but let's be realistic. You're what, 84 years old? You've been doing this for how long? I'm sure it was meaningful work in its time. But I live in the real world where time equals money and delays cost fortunes. So, with all due respect, can we just hurry this up? Tell me the fine, I'll pay it, and we can both get on with our lives. Because honestly, old man, this whole slow, procedural routine might work for people who have nothing better to do, but I have actual important business waiting. The silence that follows is absolute and suffocating. The court reporter's fingers freeze above her keyboard. The bailiff's mouth actually falls open. A woman in the gallery gasps so loudly it echoes. Someone whispers, "Did he just say that?" Marcus has just called Judge Frank Caprio old man in open court. He's just told an 84-year-old judge, beloved by millions for his compassion and wisdom, to hurry up because his work isn't important. But guys, before I show you Judge Caprio's devastating response, I need you to do something right now. In the comments below, tell me, have you ever witnessed someone disrespect an elder and get instant karma? Share your story, because this is about more than one case. This is about respect, dignity, and what happens when arrogance finally meets accountability. Judge Frank Caprio's face transforms. Every ounce of warmth, every trace of the compassionate judge who has shown mercy to thousands, vanishes like someone flipped a switch. His eyes, usually gentle and understanding, become hard as diamonds. His jaw sets. His hands, which had been resting calmly on the bench, now grip its edge with white knuckles. When he speaks, his voice is quiet, but it fills every corner of the courtroom with the weight of absolute authority. "Mr. Thornhill, did you just call me old man?" Marcus realizes too late that he's crossed a line he can never uncross. But his pride, his ego, that toxic combination of wealth and arrogance, won't let him back down completely. "Your Honor, I meant no disrespect. I'm simply stating facts. You're 84. I'm 42. We operate in different generations with different concepts of efficiency. I'm just asking for this process to be expedited." Judge Caprio stands. When Judge Frank Caprio stands during a hearing, everyone who knows him understands something significant is about to happen. The gallery falls completely silent. Even Marcus seems to sense the temperature in the room has dropped. "Different concepts of efficiency," Judge Caprio repeats slowly. "Mr. Thornhill, let me tell you about efficiency. In the 38 years I've been on this bench, I've processed over 100,000 cases. I've shown compassion to single mothers, mercy to struggling workers, and understanding to people facing circumstances beyond their control. Do you know what I've never done? I've never let someone's arrogance, wealth, or self-importance corrupt the purpose of this court, which is justice." Marcus opens his mouth to respond, but Judge Caprio holds up his hand. "I'm not finished. You walked into my courtroom on your phone, showing contempt for these proceedings. You spoke to a police officer with disgust. You referred to a school safety zone as an inconvenience. And now you stand before me and suggest that because you manage money, your time is more valuable than the law." Judge Caprio walks around his bench, eliminating the physical distance between them. "Let me be very clear, Mr. Thornhill. Your $50 million deal, it means nothing in this courtroom. Your watch that probably costs more than most people make in a year? Irrelevant. Your belief that you operate in some real world that's more important than this one? That ends right now." The judge walks back to his bench and picks up a folder that the prosecutor had placed there earlier. Marcus's lawyer, a young man who has been sitting quietly and looking increasingly uncomfortable, suddenly looks terrified. "Mr. Thornhill, when you told me you operate in the real world, I decided to learn more about your world. So I asked my staff to do a little research on Thornhill Capital Management. Would you like to know what they found?" Marcus's face goes pale. "Your Honor, I don't see how my business is relevant to a traffic violation." Judge Caprio opens the folder. "Oh, it's very relevant because it tells me about your character. And character, Mr. Thornhill, is everything in my courtroom." He begins reading. "Thornhill Capital Management is currently under investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission for alleged fraudulent investment practices. Specifically, you're accused of promising guaranteed returns to elderly retirees, then using their money for high-risk investments without their knowledge or consent." The courtroom explodes. Marcus's lawyer jumps to his feet. "Your Honor, those are unproven allegations. My client hasn't been charged with anything." Judge Caprio's eyes don't leave Marcus. "You're right, counselor. These are allegations, but they're serious enough that the SEC has frozen $40 million of your client's assets pending investigation." Marcus is sweating now, his earlier confidence completely shattered. "Your Honor, this is a witch hunt. Disgruntled investors who don't understand market volatility. It has nothing to do with this case." Judge Caprio continues reading. "According to public records, 73% of Thornhill Capital's clients are retirees over the age of 65. Many have lost their entire life savings. There are currently 47 civil lawsuits pending against your firm. A voice comes from the gallery. Your Honor, may I speak? An elderly couple in their 70s stands up. The man is supporting his wife, who looks like she's been crying. Judge Caprio nods. Please, sir, state your name. Edward Chen, Your Honor. This is my wife, Margaret. We're here because when we saw Marcus Thornhill's name on the court docket, we had to come. That man took everything from us. Marcus spins around. Your Honor, this is completely inappropriate. These people shouldn't be here. This is a traffic case. Judge Caprio's voice cuts through Marcus's protest like a blade. Mr. Thornhill, you told me I operate in some irrelevant world while you live in the real world. Well, these are real people affected by your real actions. I want to hear what they have to say. Mr. Chen, please continue. Edward Chen's voice shakes with emotion. Your Honor, my wife and I worked for 45 years. I was a teacher. She was a nurse. We saved every penny for retirement. 3 years ago, Mr. Thornhill came to a seminar at our senior center. He seemed so professional, so trustworthy. He promised us 12% guaranteed returns. Safe investments, he said. Perfect for retirees. Margaret Chen speaks now, her voice breaking. We gave him $340,000, every penny we'd saved. He said it was in safe bonds and blue-chip stocks. Last year, we got a letter saying the investments had failed. Our account was worth $18,000. We lost everything. Edward continues. We tried to contact him. His office stopped returning our calls. We hired a lawyer, but Mr. Thornhill's legal team buried us in paperwork. We can't afford to fight him. My wife had to go back to work at 72 years old. We lost our home. We're living with our daughter now. The courtroom is completely silent except for Margaret Chen's quiet crying. Marcus is staring at the floor, his face flushed. Judge Caprio's voice is quiet but filled with fury. Mr. Thornhill, these people are my age. They worked their entire lives, and you gambled away their future because you wanted higher returns and bigger commissions. And then you walk into my courtroom and call me old man, like age is something to be dismissed, like elderly people are obstacles in your way. Marcus finally speaks, and his voice is barely a whisper. Your Honor, I didn't know they would be here. The investments, they were legitimate. The market turned against us. It wasn't fraud. Judge Caprio's response is immediate and devastating. Whether it was fraud or incompetence doesn't change the result, Mr. Thornhill. You took money from people who trusted you, people who couldn't afford to lose it, and you destroyed their lives. And you did it while living in luxury, while driving expensive cars 85 miles an hour through school zones because your time is so valuable. The judge sits back down and begins writing. Here is your sentence, Mr. Thornhill. For reckless driving and excessive speed in a school zone, I'm fining you the maximum penalty under law, $5,000. Your license is suspended for 1 year. You will complete 300 hours of community service, specifically working with elderly residents at Providence Senior Center, where you will see firsthand the people you've harmed. Marcus tries to interrupt. Your Honor, I need my license for work. I can't. I'm not finished. Judge Caprio's voice silences him instantly. Furthermore, for your contempt of this court, for your disrespect to Officer Rodriguez, and for your complete disregard for the dignity of these proceedings, I'm holding you in contempt of court. That's an additional $2,000 fine and 48 hours in county jail, starting immediately. The courtroom erupts, but this time in applause. Marcus's lawyer is frantically whispering to him, but Marcus looks like he's been hit by a truck. Judge Caprio continues. And Mr. Thornhill, I'm referring your case to the Rhode Island Attorney General's office with a recommendation that they investigate your business practices in coordination with the SEC. Because what I've heard today suggests that your contempt isn't limited to this courtroom. It extends to every elderly person whose trust you've betrayed. Marcus's voice is desperate now. Your Honor, please, I'll apologize. I was wrong. I shouldn't have spoken to you that way. Judge Caprio leans forward. Mr. Thornhill, your apology means nothing to me. Apologies without changed behavior are just words. You want to prove you're sorry? Spend your 300 hours actually listening to the seniors you'll be serving. Learn their names, hear their stories. Understand that age brings wisdom, not irrelevance. He picks up his gavel. This court is adjourned. Bailiff, take Mr. Thornhill into custody. As officers approach Marcus, Judge Caprio adds one final statement that will be quoted millions of times across social media. Mr. Thornhill, you told me to hurry up because your time is valuable. Well, you're about to have 48 hours where time moves very slowly. I suggest you use it to think about what real value means, because it's not in your bank account or your deals. It's in how you treat people, especially those who can't fight back. The gavel falls. Marcus Thornhill, who walked into the courtroom thinking he was untouchable, is led away in handcuffs, his expensive suit and watch meaning absolutely nothing. Edward and Margaret Chen approach Judge Caprio. Through tears, Edward says, "Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you for seeing us." Judge Caprio takes both their hands. "I see you, and I'm sorry for what you've been through. What happened to you is exactly why this courtroom exists, to remind people that the law protects everyone, especially those who've been forgotten." This video was posted online within hours. Within 24 hours, it had 15 million views. Within a week, it hit 50 million. News outlets across the country covered the story. The hashtag #HurryUpOldMan trended worldwide, but not in the way Marcus Thornhill hoped. It became a rallying cry for respecting elders and holding the wealthy accountable. The SEC accelerated their investigation. The Rhode Island Attorney General filed criminal charges. Marcus Thornhill's firm collapsed within 6 months. But here's the beautiful ending. The viral attention brought hundreds of donations for the Chens and other victims. Over $2 million was raised to help elderly people defrauded by Thornhill Capital. Edward and Margaret Chen were able to recover a portion of their savings and regain some stability. And Marcus Thornhill? He completed his 300 hours at the senior center. By all accounts, he was humbled, changed. He started a victim compensation fund from his remaining assets. Whether the change is permanent, only time will tell. But Judge Caprio gave him something money can't buy, a chance to become a better person. If this story moved you, if you believe arrogance should meet accountability, share this video right now. Like this video if you honor the elderly and respect the courage it takes to stand up for those who can't fight back. Subscribe for more incredible stories that prove compassion and justice can coexist. And remember Judge Caprio's words, real value isn't in your bank account. It's in how you treat people, especially when you think nobody's watching. That's the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio. That's what happens when disrespect meets absolute justice. Comment below with where you're watching from and share this with someone who needs to see it.